He disappeared. No explanation, no goodbye, just silence. And you spent days, maybe weeks, replaying every conversation, every moment, every word, trying to figure out what you did wrong. And then one day, out of nowhere, your phone lights up. His name, a message. Something casual, something warm, something that acts like the silence never happened. And you are left standing there wondering, what just happened? Why now? Why after all this time? I have heard this story more times than I can count. From women who were blindsided by the silence and even more blindsided by the return. And in this video, I am going to tell you exactly why men do this. What is happening in his mind during the silence? What triggers the return? And most importantly, what you do next, because that decision will determine everything that follows. Stay with me, because understanding this will not just help you with him, it will change how you see every relationship you have ever been in. Before we go any further, I want to be clear about something. This video is not about getting him back. It is not a strategy guide for winning a man's attention. If that is what you are looking for, I want to gently redirect you. Because the women who spend their energy trying to get someone back almost always miss the far more important question. The more important question is, why did he feel safe enough to disappear in the first place? And what does his return actually mean? Because a man coming back after silence is not automatically good news. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it is simply a man who realized he lost access to something comfortable. Understanding the difference is everything. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what his silence means, what his return means, and how to respond in a way that protects your energy, regardless of what you decide. Because the goal here is never to get him back. The goal is always to know your own worth so clearly that his return, or his continued absence, changes nothing fundamental about how you feel about yourself. I want to tell you about a woman named Christine. She was 51 when she came to me. Sharp, self-aware, professionally accomplished, the kind of woman who had her life together in every area except this one. She had been seeing a man for 4 months. Things were going well, she thought. Then one Tuesday, he simply stopped responding. No fight, no explanation. 3 weeks of silence. She did what most of us do. She replayed everything. She wondered if she had said something wrong, been too available, not available enough, too emotional, not emotional enough. She sent one follow-up message, calm, warm, not desperate. He read it, said nothing. The silence continued. Then 5 weeks later, a Sunday evening, he texted, "Hey, been thinking about you. Hope you're well." Christine came to me the next morning. She said, "Sarah, what do I do? Part of me wants to respond immediately. Part of me is furious. And part of me is just relieved to hear from him, and I hate that I feel that way." I told her, all 3 of those feelings make complete sense, and none of them need to drive your response. What needs to drive your response is understanding exactly what this message is and what it isn't. By the end of our conversation, Christine knew, and she made a choice that changed everything. Not for him, for herself. Let's start with the silence, because before you can understand the return, you need to understand what the silence actually was. Men go silent for several reasons, and most of them have very little to do with you. The first reason is emotional overwhelm. Men process feelings differently than women. When a connection starts to feel significant, when emotions start to surface that feel bigger than he knows how to handle, many men default to withdrawal. Not because they don't care, sometimes because they care more than they are ready for. The silence is not rejection. It is retreat. The second reason is that he was testing, consciously or not, whether you would chase. This is not calculated manipulation in most cases. It is an unconscious pattern. He pulls back slightly to see what happens. If you pursue, he learns that your attention is guaranteed regardless of his effort. If you don't, something shifts. The third reason, and this is the one most women don't want to hear, is that he was simply keeping his options open. He wasn't sure about you, so he stepped back to see if something else materialized. It didn't. Or what did materialize wasn't what he hoped. And so he returns to the connection that felt real, which was you. This is not romantic, but it is honest. And you deserve honesty about what you are actually dealing with. Now let's talk about the return, because this is the part that confuses women the most. Why does a man come back after weeks or months of silence? What actually triggers that message? In most cases, it is one of three things. The first is regret, genuine regret. He pulled back, realized what he had walked away from, and found the courage to reach back out. This is the version women hope for, and it does happen, but it is less common than the other two. The second trigger is comfort seeking. Life got harder. Something didn't work out. He felt lonely or unsettled, and his mind went to the person who made him feel good. You. Not because he has changed or grown or done the work, but because you represented safety, and safety felt appealing in a difficult moment. The third trigger is ego. He noticed you had moved on, through a social media post, through a mutual friend, through the simple fact that you stopped reaching out. And something in him that had nothing to do with love and everything to do with ego could not accept that you were okay without him. So he reached out, not to reconnect, to reassure himself that he still had access. Knowing which of these three is driving his return is the most important thing you can do before you respond. So how do you tell the difference between genuine regret, comfort-seeking, and ego? You watch what follows the first message. A man who returns from genuine regret will show you, quickly and consistently. He will acknowledge the silence. He will not pretend it didn't happen. He will make real effort, not just send a casual opener and wait to see if you come running. He will be different in some visible, tangible way. Not perfect, but different. Changed men show their change. They don't just announce it. A man returning for comfort or ego will reveal himself just as quickly. The message will be warm but vague. There will be no acknowledgement of what happened. He will respond enthusiastically when you engage and go quiet again if you pull back even slightly. He will be exactly the same as before, because nothing has changed. Christine watched carefully. The man who had disappeared for 5 weeks sent 3 messages over the next 4 days, all warm, all casual. None of them acknowledging the silence. None of them suggesting he wanted to actually see her. Just enough to keep her engaged. She recognized the pattern. And she made a choice I will tell you about in a moment. This is the part every woman wants to know. He's back. What do you do? Here is my answer. And it is not what most people expect. You do nothing quickly. You do not respond immediately. Not to punish him, not to play games, but because your first response after a long silence sets the entire tone for what follows. A woman who responds instantly, warmly, openly, as if the silence never happened, teaches him that his access to her requires no effort and no accountability. That lesson will repeat itself, guaranteed. Take your time. A day, maybe 2. Not because you are performing unavailability, but because you genuinely need that time to check in with yourself. To ask, what do I actually want here? What would feel right for me, not for him? When you do respond, if you choose to respond, be warm but measured. Do not pour yourself back into the connection immediately. Let him show you who he is now. Let him do the work of rebuilding what the silence damaged. Because if he is genuinely different, he will understand that work is required. And if he is not, if he expects to pick up exactly where you left off with no acknowledgement of what happened, that tells you everything you need to know. Christine waited 2 days. Then she responded. Warm, brief, giving nothing away. He asked to meet. She said yes, 2 weeks later when she genuinely had time. At that meeting, he apologized. Not perfectly, not with a speech. But he said, I handled things badly and I know it. She listened. She didn't forgive immediately or perform coolness. She just listened. They are still together 18 months later. Not because Christine played her cards right, but because she gave him the space to show her who he actually was, and he showed her something worth staying for. That is the only story worth being in, not the one where you chase someone back, the one where you hold your ground long enough to find out if he is worth letting in. I want to say one more thing before we close. If you are watching this right now, waiting for a message that hasn't come, I want you to hear this. His silence is not a verdict on your worth. It is information about his readiness. Those are completely different things. A man who cannot show up consistently is not telling you that you are not enough. He is telling you that he is not yet enough for what you deserve. And that distinction matters more than anything else I have said today. You do not need him to come back to be okay. You were okay before him. You are okay right now. And whatever he decides, to return or to stay silent, your life continues to be yours. The women who are most irresistible after a silence are not the ones who waited perfectly or responded strategically. They are the ones who use the silence to come home to themselves, to remember who they were before he became the center of their attention. That woman, the one who came home to herself, is the one he cannot stop thinking about. Be her, not for him, for you. If this video resonated with you, if you are in the middle of a silence right now or trying to make sense of a return, leave me a comment. Tell me where you are in the story. I read every single one. And if you know a woman who is waiting by her phone right now, confused and second-guessing herself, please share this with her. Because no woman should spend one more day making herself smaller, trying to figure out why someone went quiet. She deserves the truth. Share this with her. Subscribe if you haven't already. Every week, honest conversations about men, silence, and the kind of love that actually lasts. I'll see you in the next one.